I figured this one's a little more appropriate for how 311 went. This is going to be who I believe are the next matchups for UFC 3 post UFC 311. I did give a brief summarized version on my Twitter or X. Go give it a follow if you haven't. We're going to kind of run down the list of who I think is next for each fighter, winner and loser. We're going to get started with the top. Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano. This fight was not close. Makhachev's Darce is just, it's got to be something to behold because he submitted Poirier and Moicano with this. So, I don't know. But for Islam, there is Charles Oliveira. I think that's the next fight. It won't happen until the summer is my guess. I could see this on the co-main event of Jones Aspinall if that fight gets made. And if not Charles Oliveira, if Arman's ready, I wouldn't mind that. And I could also see Ilia Topuria moving up to 155 and challenging Islam. I think that's a great fight. I think Topuria should get a couple more defenses, but I don't hate the idea of him moving up just for the challenge. I think Topuria's striking and ground game is something that can give Islam challenges, but who knows? I think Islam should continue defending at 155. Renato Moicano, I'd like to see him and... this one's a little tricky. I'd like to see him and, honestly, Michael Chandler. I think Moicano and Chandler would be a great fight, or Moicano and Fiziev. I mean, they're both healthy. They both just came out. Islam and Moicano, they could do a quick turnaround. I'd like to see Moicano fight Fiziev or Gamrot. Well, probably wouldn't fight Gamrot, but Fiziev would be my best bet, or Chandler. Money Moicano, Chandler would print money. For Merab and Umar, Merab's, his pace is just, it's incredible. We've never seen someone with this kind of cardio do this kind of stuff outside of maybe Colby Covington when he was in his prime. For Merab, honestly, I want to see him take a little break. It was a fast turnaround from him from the Sphere. This was, like a 5-month turnaround, less than that. I'd like to see Merab heal up. He just did a 5-round war with Umar. The fact that he was a plus 210 underdog as well is crazy. It's crazy. But I do think for Merab, if he wanted to do a quick turnaround, I think him and Peter Yan too would be the fight. If not O'Malley, or if not Yan, I don't know. Peter Yan or the rematch with Sean O'Malley, I guess. I don't want to see the rematch with O'Malley yet. But one of those two guys. Umar Nurmagomedov, I think him and Sean O'Malley would be fireworks. I think that's a great fight. Both great strikers. I'd like to see that fight. That's where I'd like to see Umar go next, is a fight with Sean O'Malley. Not a rematch, but the fight with Sean would be the fight I would like to see. Yuri Prohaska versus Jamal Hill. I don't want to see Yuri in the trilogy. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't want that just yet. I think Yuri versus the winner of Olberg and Blachowicz would make sense. If not that, then the loser of Pereira and Ankalaev, I would like to see that as well with Yuri. For Jamal Hill, I'd like to see him face the loser, maybe the winner of... I think the winner of Blachowicz and Olberg has a lot of momentum here. I'd also like to see Khalil Roundtree, actually, for Yuri Prohaska. Him and Khalil Roundtree. Great fight right there. And then Jamal Hill versus the winner of Olberg and Blachowicz makes sense to me. He's putting his ranking on the line in his next fight. Jailton Almeida and Sergey Spivak. This fight was not close, but it was a good fight. For Jailton, I'd like to see him move down to light heavyweight, if I'm being honest with you. I think at heavyweight he is big, but he could be dominant at light heavyweight. Him versus Jamal Hill would be a great fight, I think. At light heavyweight, if he wants to stay at heavyweight, then I'd like to see him and the winner of... Actually, no. Him versus Cyril Gane makes sense to me. I'd like to see that fight. For Sergey Spivak, I think him and Volkov would be a fine fight, or Spivak versus the loser of the Curtis Blades fight, or maybe him and Blades. There's options. For Kevin Holland, I think he needs to go back down to 170. Him and Colby Covington would be great. Or do it at 185. I don't care. I'd like to see Holland and Colby go at it. I think it'd be a fantastic fight. I think both have their backs against the wall. It's do or die. Put that fight in Miami. That is an incredible fight. A 3-rounder to open up the main card would be fantastic for that. For Renier de Ridder, I like to see him and Paul Craig. I like to see him against a guy who knows how to grapple as well. Really, really well and is known for it. I think him versus Paul Craig might be a little boring in terms of striking, but in terms of wrestling and grappling, it's a fantastic fight. And we'll do the prelims. We'll do a couple of the prelim fights as well, ones that I noticed that I think would make sense. For Peyton Talbot, I think he needs to take a little bit of a step back in competition. It is bantamweight. This one's a little tricky. There's nothing. This one's tough. I mean, he was such a massive favorite. Trying to think. I gotta pull up the unranked roster. I gotta see who would make sense for Peyton Talbot. It's got to be someone who would be willing to strike with him, and also maybe some slight grappling. I mean, he should not fight a ranked opponent. I think that would be a poor decision, in my opinion. Let's see. If we're looking right now, bantamweights, him and Saeed Nurmagomedov would be a good fight. I think that's a really, really good fight. Amin and Zahabi as well would make sense. You could even do Peyton Talbot and Cody Garbrandt would be a good fight. Yeah, Peyton Talbot, Cody Garbrandt. That's the fight I'd like to see. Yeah. Let's see. Grant Dawson. He is someone who needs to fight a top 10 opponent. I would like to see Grant Dawson, if he wants to fight him and Beneil Dariush, he calls for it. I think that's a great fight. That could be a really, really good fight. But that's probably where I'd end up going. Aline Perez, I think she should fight someone in the top 10 or top 5 of the women's bantamweight. She's going to be ranked 9 now. If we look at the UFC rankings for women's bantamweight, let's look here. Aline Perez is number 12. She's going to be number 9. Holly Holm is retired, so actually Aline will probably be number 8. I'd like to see her and Macy Chasson or Norma Dumont, maybe, if you're going to push top 5, or Irene Aldana. Those are both really, really good fights. I'd like to see it. Maybe Aline Perez and Irene Aldana. That would make sense to me as a backup fight for Juliana and Kayla. I mean, looking at these rankings right now, you can even do Aline Perez if Raquel's willing to put her one ranking on the line. You could do that. I think Raquel deserves a rematch and should fight the winner of Juliana and Kayla. I thought Raquel won the fight, so that's where I would go with Raquel. But I think you could even do Ketlin Vieira versus Aline Perez if you really wanted to push her to I don't think she's ready for a Ketlin, but Macy Chasson would probably be my best bet. But that's who I think should be the next match. That's what I think the next matchup should be for post UFC 311. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.